Syria, a land steeped in history, has become a breeding ground for conflict and insurgency. Among the figures who have emerged, few are as enigmatic and influential as Abu al Julani. His journey, marked by strategic cunning, offers a glimpse into the complex web of alliances and betrayals. Julani's story is not one of a typical warlord. He understands the power of image and ideology. He has cultivated an aura of mystery, rarely appearing in public. This approach has allowed him to navigate the Syrian conflict, forging and breaking alliances. He is a master strategist, a key player in the ongoing tragedy of Syria. To understand Julani's trajectory, one must delve into the crucible that forged his beliefs. Born Ahmed Hussein al-Sharia in the Golan Heights, his early life remains shrouded in mystery. Some reports suggest exposure to radical ideology during his youth, a time when the wounds of the Israeli occupation ran deep. He later traveled to Iraq, joining the ranks of al-Qaeda in Iraq under the leadership of the notorious Abu Musab al-Zarqawi. This period proved to be a formative one, exposing him to the brutal tactics and extremist ideology that would later become hallmarks of his own organization. The US invasion and occupation of Iraq provided fertile ground for AQI to flourish. Julani quickly rose through the ranks, honing his skills as a fighter and commander. He embraced Zarqawi's vision of a borderless caliphate, established through violence and terror. This experience would profoundly shape his worldview and set him on a collision course with the very powers he would later manipulate. The outbreak of the Syrian uprising in 2011 presented Julani with a unique opportunity. Dispatched by AQI's successor, the Islamic State of Iraq, to establish a presence in Syria, he formed Jabhat al-Nusra, ostensibly an offshoot of the Iraqi group Nusra. Under Julani's leadership, quickly gained notoriety for its battlefield prowess and brutal tactics. It attracted a potent mix of disaffected Syrian youth, hardened jihadists from across the region, and even disillusioned fighters from the Free Syrian Army. However, Julani harbored ambitions beyond simply being a puppet of his ISI masters. In a calculated move that shocked the world, Julani publicly rejected ISI leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi's declaration of a caliphate and severed ties with the group, rebranding Jabhat al-Nusra as Jabhat Fateh al-Sham. This strategic maneuver allowed him to distance himself from ISI's barbarity, which had alienated many Syrians, and position JFS as a more palatable alternative for those seeking to overthrow the Assad regime. Section 4. A carefully calculated game. Julani's break with ISI was just one move in a complex game of chess. To survive, he needed powerful external backing. He aligned with whoever offered the most support, never fully committing. He played regional powers against each other, securing funding and weapons. He cultivated ties with Turkey. This balancing act allowed him to maintain autonomy. Julani recognized the importance of public perception. He portrayed himself as a pious leader fighting tyranny. He toned down extreme elements of his group's ideology. He presented himself as a partner to the West. This image garnered sympathy from some quarters, even as his fighters committed atrocities on the ground. Section 5. The Two Faces of Julani. Abu al Julani is a figure who defies easy categorization. To his supporters, he is a hero, a devout Muslim fighting for the liberation of Syria from tyranny. They point to his military successes against the Assad regime and his role in combating ISI as evidence of his leadership. His supporters argue that he is a pragmatist, willing to make compromises in order to achieve his goals. They highlight his efforts to establish a semblance of governance in areas under his control, providing basic services and implementing a strict interpretation of Islamic law. To his detractors, Julani is nothing more than a ruthless opportunist, a wolf in sheep's clothing. They point to his group's history of human rights abuses, including the persecution of minorities, the use of suicide bombings, and the suppression of dissent. Section 6. A legacy forged in blood. Abu Muhammad al Julani's legacy is one of profound complexity. He is a figure who embodies the contradictions of the Syrian conflict itself, a brutal warlord who has presented himself as a liberator, a jihadist who has sought to distance himself from the excesses of groups like ISI. His impact on the Syrian conflict is undeniable. He transformed a small group of fighters into one of the most powerful armed factions in the country. He outmaneuvered rivals, both secular and Islamist, and successfully navigated the treacherous world of international power politics. His legacy is forever tainted by the blood spilled in Syria's long and brutal war. His fighters have been implicated in countless atrocities, and his rule has brought little in the way of peace or stability to the areas under his control. Section 7. Syria's uncertain tomorrow. As Syria enters a new phase with the Assad regime secure in power, the role of Abu Muhammad al Julani remains uncertain. Will he be a force for instability or seek to reinvent himself, adapting to new realities? One thing is certain: Julani is a survivor. His ability to adapt should not be underestimated. He remains a key player in Syria's tragedy, impacting millions of lives. The story of Abu Muhammad al Julani is a cautionary tale, a reminder of the human cost of conflict. The final chapter is yet to be written.